Then someone came to him and said, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why do you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments." He said to him, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. Also, you shall love your neighbor as yourself." The young man said to him, "I have kept all these. What do I still lack?" Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be perfect, go, sell your possessions, and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then, come follow me." Matthew 19, verses 16 through 21. This is my BMW R100. It's a 1984 model, and I've been having an issue with this voltmeter reading, and it never seemed to want to go above the 12 mark in the middle, and especially when I idled, it would drop down even over to the 10 or into the red zone. And so I was kind of thinking there might be something wrong with the charging system, and so I ended up replacing the voltage regulator, and which is underneath the fuel tank, kind of in this area right here. If we look at the front, so it's up under there, so you have to take the fuel tank out to replace it. And but what I ended up figuring out, when I replaced the voltage regulator and the behavior didn't change, I decided to borrow some diagnostic equipment and see if I could figure out what was happening. Well, after I figured out the how to read the voltages, I plotted the battery voltage and the voltage on the front of the alternator that controls the magnetism of the rotor, and then I plotted the current coming out of the rectifier or the diode board, and found out that all that was normal. And so finally I ended up putting my voltmeter directly on the battery and saw that it was running, up in the 13 and a half plus range where it was supposed to be. And so what I finally figured out is that the problem wasn't with the charging system, but it was with the voltage gauge. And so basically what I did was I just wiggled the wires up here that attach to the gauge, and lo and behold, it started reading properly. So I was apparently having a little bit of fretting corrosion or some sort of corrosion on those wires that was causing a little added resistance that was throwing off the reading. So that was the problem, and I didn't need to replace anything else. So just thought I would make sure you check the voltage right at the battery before you go and assume that you got a problem with the charging system. Alright, so I figured I'd share these curves that I collected with you, just so you can see what I was seeing. The red line on the top is battery voltage, and it had an average reading of 13.85. The green line, that's a square wave, is actually the voltage at the terminal that I've indicated there on the picture on the front of the alternator, and that is controlled by the voltage regulator. And the blue line is the current, and you can kind of see how it increases when the green line is high and it decreases when the green line is low. And so that is showing you that the voltage regulator is working properly, that it's controlling the current, and you can see that the voltage is going up to 20 amps, and then it drops back down again, then it goes up to 20 amps, and from what I understand, the output of the alternator is 20 amps. So everything here seems to be working right. And on this slide, I just zoomed in a little bit on that same page, and so the main reason I did that was so that you could see how the current looks when you zoom in on it. And it looks like a bunch of humps, which is basically half of a sine wave. It's only allowing the positive part of the sine wave to come through, and that's what you call a rectified signal. So anyway, looks like the diode board is doing what it's supposed to be doing too, so hence the only problem was that my gauge wasn't reading properly. So thanks for listening.